Are we well? Okay, let's just wait for everybody to arrive and for everything to be okay technologically in the world. Is it okay? Can you hear me? Are we happening? Is everything all right? Give me a note in the comments to let me know. All right, yes. We are live. Brilliant. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Worst Day Ever. Can somebody let me know in the comments? Is everything okay? Are we doing all right? Is this working okay? It's a bit of a weird one today. I've had to do things quite stressed out. I'm in the new flat. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Worst Day Ever. I'm Eleanor Conway, and this is probably one of my worst days anyway. Thank you. If you're watching the stream, you are watching live on Instagram, 8 p.m. on a Thursday, UK time. Willkommen. Hello. How are you? Let me know where you're watching from in the comments. I'd really love to know that. We are from a very sexy sort of new flat vibe. Please do let me know in the comments if the tech is working all right. I have no idea. Someone's WhatsApped me. No, nothing to do with this. Brilliant. Okay, if you're watching this, you're watching it live on Instagram, 8 p.m. Thursday, UK time. Or you're watching it on catch up on YouTube. Hello, everybody. Hello, Ryan. How are you? Hello, Ezzy Lit. Hello, catchy name. Is that your real name? Hiya. Hello, the people on YouTube. I can see you. Drop me a little comment. Hello, the people on Facebook. I can also see you too. Drop us a little comment. Hello. Hi. Listen, if you are watching, wherever you're watching, please go on over to Instagram and YouTube and do feel free to please subscribe so that you can be informed when new episodes happen. Hey Ollie on Instagram. Can you hear me all right? Is everything okay from the tech end? Let me know in the comments. If you'd like to know, if you'd like to sign up to a mailer to find out where I'm going to be playing live once all this madness is over, head on over to eleanorconway.com and fill in your details. Don't forget your city. And I'll let you know when things start to kick up again. Big thank you, as always, to the Patreons for this month. Big shout out to Peter M, Robbie D, Stephen P, Shanine S, Michael B, and Michael W. Thank you so much for your donations. If you don't know what Patreon is, it's basically like a really shit Netflix, but it's just like a not very varied Netflix because it's just me doing my stuff on there. You get to support my content and in a time of need, and you also get exclusive videos from a new podcast that I'm doing called Eleanor Conway's Moving On, which is a daily podcast that's available to listen on Spotify, and also you get all the video files on the Patreon. Right, good. We've got a good one today. We've got a really good one. We've got a dating expert and matchmaker on today's stream. I want you to put your questions into the comments and let us know where you're at with dating in lockdown. You know, is there anything that you keep doing and keep fucking up on that you want the lovely Sarah Louise Ryan to answer? Feel free to pop it all in the comments. I'm going to bring her on in a minute. Wait for a couple more people on. The people on Instagram, can you put some hearts? Let's do some hearts. Let's give her a big round of applause. The people on YouTube and Facebook, weirdly being very quiet today. All right, let's bring her on. It is the wonderful Sarah Louise Ryan. She's been featured on in GQ Cosmo. She's about to be featured quite majorly in the Times. She knows what she's talking about. And to be honest, look, you and I know each other. We've been doing this for 4 months now, and I know that you are all as bad as I am when it comes to the dating. Hang on, just a little problem on Instagram. Are you okay on Instagram? Hello, Beth. Can you just confirm that you can see everything on Instagram? I can see it, so you should be able to. Right, listen, let's answer all of mine and your dating issues. Let's bring on the wonderful Sarah Louise Ryan. All right, mate, how are you?
I'm amazing. Welcome to my sexy new flat as well. Woo!
Whereabouts
I'm good, thanks.
You?
So I split my time between London and Manchester, but I've got a new flat in Manchester because I've got 2 offices for matchmaking and coaching. My family are all based in Manchester. I wanted to be locked down here. Could I go for a nice little dog walk with them? Nothing's really happening in London right now or anywhere in the UK.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's great. I feel you. So, what does your day normally look at? Are you just basically answering hopeless people like myself and pretty much everybody else just going, oh God, we've got like, why does this person keep doing that? Is that what you do on a daily basis?
Actually, it's not. Somebody else asked me that this morning. Today has been a day working with loads of different brands who want a dating and relationship expert to answer their consumers' questions about dating and relationships. Whereas yesterday was a whole day of matchmaking, taking a look at applications and bringing people together. And then I might have a day of coaching clients as well. So every day is different and everyone's got a different question around dating. So been doing it for 10 years now.
How do you train to do that? Do you have a selection of shitty dates or good dates?
I've had my fair share of shitty dates, as you would say, and a lot of great dates as well. How did I get into it? I didn't train to do it. I was actually, I graduated in international marketing. I started working for Jamie Oliver in London, really strangely after uni. And then I was like, oh, I've got to be doing something more interesting than this. I can't have such an epic degree. But also, no offense, Jamie. And I also, I'm Mancunian, I'm very down to earth, I'm a people person. And I was like, this job that I've got now in marketing, even though, it's for, a chef. Yeah, boring, not for me. And so I found a little ad when Google ads were like thumbnails on the side saying looking for a Mayfair matchmaker, a junior matchmaker. And I was in my early 20s and I was like, that sounds great, running around London with a little black book matchmaking people. And I applied and I got it, and then here I am 10 years later.
So so you're like old school matchmaker. I get that. I think that's actually quite, I know we scoff at it, but like at the moment Tinder's our matchmaker. What do you think we're missing out on now that we're sort of all finding people based on how far they walk from us?
Oh gosh, well, it's a paradox of choice, isn't it? We're just sat there getting, needing an injection in our thumbs because we've got thumb aches, swiping left, right, up and down, whichever way it is these days. And there's more to life than Tinder. No offense, Tinder. There are so many other. If you're tuning in, there's so many other great apps and options out there. I am a traditional matchmaker. People put their details in, tell me a bit about their lifestyle, tell me about who they are, what they're looking for, what hasn't worked for them in dating. Yeah. And then I set them up with the team and headhunt for them.
I know we've just met, but like, how would you sell me to a future, like a potential partner? Would you be like, how would you sell me?
Well, I wouldn't be selling you. I guess we're marketing people to people. Well, first of all, we look at lifestyle, we look at values, we look at interests, not that they have to be the same. Yeah. We look at common goals for a relationship, because not everyone has the same, obviously. And we also look at non-negotiables. Some people have some really particular non-negotiables that we have to work with. But we at Love Connections Global, we also work on the scope of the search. So we don't just matchmake in Manchester or London. We look at localized UK searches as well as nationwide and globalized. So people identify how far and wide they're willing to look for love. And then we headhunt for them. We don't just get like 2 paying clients and stick them to the wall and hope they'll stay there. We are like recruiters for people's love lives and figure out who they are, what they're looking for, and we find it. Hopefully.
BRD Lord on Twitch is like, is this live? Yeah, we're alive. We're doing it. Feel free to put your worst dating woes in the comments, and hopefully me and Sarah can answer them. I mean, Sarah's going to be better at answering them than me. Let's be real. So, like, I feel like I've got quite a high list of non-negotiables. So, can I be? I'm going to be really honest. I'm going to be really honest. So when I look on the old apps, I'm like 6 foot or above. Like, I'm not. Also, I prefer to go younger because I sometimes feel like I really shouldn't be saying this, should I? I've got a particular type, and they're usually 6'3", younger, beard, black hair, not too big.
6'3".
Yeah.
Can Prince Charming not be 5'10" or 5'8"
not really,
or
no.
5'11"?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. Well, that's it. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I know that I really fancy. But
really?
Yeah, I know. But then I've been single for 12 years now. So obviously that's not working.
Shall I tell you what I do say to people that give me a really long shopping list is what I do call it. I'm a bit tough, a bit of tough love.
What?
I often say your type didn't work so far, so let's look at something else.
What's the most ridiculous non-negotiable that you've heard?
Length of hair for female.
Oh,
Male,
really?
heterosexual male looking for specific. I was like, well, she might cut it tomorrow. And then what will you do? And he was like, I'm out. And I was like, this isn't going to work for us.
So do you think that, because I think that maybe I say I've been looking for love, but really probably haven't, because look, between you and I, like, I've banged a lot.
And everyone else listening.
Yeah, and I've banged a lot. Like, I've been busy in that 12 years. So statistically, I should have met one or two that would have stuck. So with that, would you suggest that maybe I'm not sort of I'm not really, I say I talk the talk and I say, I'm looking, I'm single, blah, blah, blah. But maybe on some sort of core level, I'm not really looking.
Well, sex is easy to find, but chemistry and commonality and compatibility is really not.
Oh, that sounds really intense.
It does. It's true though. I mean, we can all get between the sheets with anyone, or not between the sheets, wherever you want, whatever suits. But finding that chemistry as well as compatibility and having someone with the same wants is a bit tricky, especially with online dating, which is the go-to these days, where swiping left, right, up and down, as I said before, and there is the paradox of choice. Like, people think that the world of singles is quite literally at their fingertips, yet they feel overwhelmed with and saturated, almost like they're being marketed to by so many singles, that they feel like, okay, I've got to chatting with somebody, I feel like they're interesting, I feel like there's some legs to run with this dating scenario with this person. But then there's like FOMO in the back of their mind. Who else is out there? Am I missing something? Is it better on the next swipe? And so these apps, they're built, no offense to whoever's tuning in, they're built just like gaming, to get us hooked, to get us, addicted almost to the next swipe. And let's not forget, like, every time we're swiping and somebody matches with us or likes us or super likes us or whatever the functionality is of whatever app you're using, a massive hit of serotonin is then released, and all those good feel endorphins are going on within our bodies. So the majority of the time, I believe that people are sat in their PJs having a cup of tea or a glass of wine with absolutely no intention of going out, going on a date with the person they've swiped right on, and they just want to feel validated and good about themselves, and we've all done it.
Yeah, look, I talked about that sort of very thing in my first stand-up show, Walk of Shame. Because I've got addiction issue, like, I'm in recovery, I'm sober, but that idea, I don't think I can personally. I don't think I've got the personality type that can be trusted to be on those apps. It's just a game. Right. There's no potential really. I think I'm a bit of a grower. I think I even though I'm quite promiscuous, and I have been. I'm not now. I think I actually err on the side of just being mates with someone and then seeing if something develops, which is so at odds with my sort of debaucherous past.
Do you know what? I think that is absolutely appropriate if you're looking for a partner, for the long term, because, the best relationships are built from friendship. Like, you want to wake up next to your bed, and it sounds a bit romantic, but I promise you I'm ever the realist. As much as 10 years in matchmaking might make me sound like romantic, I'm really a realist, and I think you've got to be with your best friend. If you believe in marriage, you want to marry your best friend, and you want to wake up next to your best mate for the rest of your life. And if they're not your best friend that you want to share everything with, and you want to, the good, the bad, and the ugly with, then what's the point? I think it's great that you like that and you want that.
Well, it's only in the last 3 years that I've realised that's really how I never realised I could do that. I think what was I going to say? Like, I feel like on Tinder dates, there is a pressure to sort of get to sex within 3 dates. So I feel like they're not really compatible, that way of wanting to proceed with my romantic life. But then, like, my brother, he met his partner on Tinder. How come he met someone like so early, and I've been single for ages?
Well,
I
there
could
are
have
two
raised
things.
I could have raised a teenage son by now. That's what I mean.
There are two things that I would say about that is that think about the kind of person you want to meet and think about the kind of apps or platforms or events or services like matchmaking, whatever. Think about where they would be and don't just pick an app because you know it's popular. Think about the kind of place that they might hang out. Like there are different apps for different creatives or for those who are visual, you know, where you don't really see much text and bios and whatnot. So there's that. Or there's what I would call a bit of online dating strategy,
What's
which
that then? Hang on.
might come across as a bit brazen. But when you're putting together your biography, I mean, I'm an expert in offline dating, but in terms of offline dating, matchmaking, coaching, events. But obviously, people go to online dating first before they realize they've got fatigue and they come to me.
Yeah, totally.
And that's the reality of it. If you're going to online date, be quite brazen in your biography and say, you know, if you're looking for a partner and you're not just looking to have sex, say, you know, looking for a partner, I'm not looking for a pen pal. And you've got nothing to.
I don't like it when men put that. It makes me feel like an aggressive Marilyn Monroe quote. Like if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. That's what I hear it in the.
Hearing me screaming, laughing from my kitchen. However, it's how you follow up with that. You know, saying, you know, I really enjoy jazz and reggae and long Sunday mornings. It's like softening the edges with being direct. I think that it's quality over quantity. You'd rather have 10 appropriate people messaging you that really resonate with what you're looking for and who you are by putting, you know, the books you've recently read or the comedy shows you've recently been to online or whatever, by sharing who you really are in very short, snappy sentences. Whilst it might come across as aggressive and brazen and whatever, what you're doing is you're sieving out those who aren't appropriate for you and you're just focusing. Because think about all the energy you invest. You build pseudo relationships with people that you don't even meet.
Oh yeah, it's mental because you know those. You know, you can DM someone for absolutely ages, and you know, being in London, no one's like meeting anybody very fast. They're just meeting. They're like, oh yeah, I might have space in 2 weeks' time. You're like, how do I fucking keep this text relationship going? And there's a weird enforced intimacy after you've matched with someone. There's a sort of like. You'll get sometimes I feel like, and this is a very sweeping statement, I feel like men on Tinder have no emotional boundaries. Like they'll say one thing that they're looking for, but their actions will give off different vibes.
I think people have time, and I won't gender specify, you know, I think it's all people that online date. Like people have time to create, you know, funny anecdotes. People have time to Google or Wikipedia something that someone said that they didn't quite get, because there's that time lapse in between the messages. You know, this is where we create a pseudo connection that isn't real. Imagine if you got straight to the date without the chatting. You don't have time to fake it. You are just yourself. You're just authentic. You're just showing up as who you are, what you're interested in and what you want. And you can't hide that. Your body language can't hide it. You know, verbally you can't. And you just have to react in real time. But it's like, you know, I've heard of people chatting for 3 months during lockdown and then meeting and having zero chemistry. Oh my goodness. Like, why would you waste the one thing in life we can't make more of is time, so why are we wasting it?
That's so right what you said about when you're messaging on apps, you have space to sort of craft the perfect response. But also as well, like there's a sort of there'll be an arsenal of stuff that works. Like you know how like a comedian has a set. There'll be sort of lines that everybody uses, not in a sort of like, oh, you've fallen from the stars, you must be an angel vibe, but more like I will have like my stock chat that I'll just feed in. Yeah, like just
give me some stock chat.
I feel like I'm put on the front on the spot. But just on
the front line of dating.
On the front line of dating. Oh, Gaz over on YouTube says I met someone in Asda.
Amazing.
Gaz, how did it go? Are you still together? Tell us the details in the comments.
What aisle were you in?
Were you by the eggs? What was I going to ask? So, people are. Do you think people are? do you think people are really, now we're moving into second lockdown, have they, because you remember, right, hang on. Right, you know, in the first lockdown, people were like, yeah, we'll just do the video dating and it's going to have such novelty and blah, 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 which sounds horrific. It sounds awful. Remember there was that article about the two people that had like a virtual date, and they both, he monzoed her 15 quid so that she could get the same wine as him, and then they just got pissed together. But that sounds horrible. I think it sounds like I know how it could be good fun, but you'd have to be really wasted for it, I think.
I don't think so. I think it's personal preference. So during lockdown, round 1 in March, we created something called digital dating, which does what it says on the tin, is where instead of creating profiles and sending people out on physical dates to restaurants, bars and whatnot, we did the same matchmaking process. However, we didn't share any profiles or connection details, so people couldn't do the dating dance beforehand. They wouldn't be wasting, because that's my biggest gripe of dating, the pseudo relationships built beforehand when they're not real and you can't gauge chemistry through WhatsApp. So basically we are setting people up on digital dates where we just tell them why we found them to be compatible, why their lifestyles are a good match, why their values seem to fit, and we coordinate when they're free, Saturday or let's say 8 o'clock, and then we send them on a Skype date by sharing their details. They have nothing else other than that, so they can't stalk each other on social media, which so many people do. They can't do all of that. And do you
think men stalk women on social media, or is it just women?
I think both sexes are absolutely guilty of it, of course.
So just for people that have joined, the wonderful Sarah Louise Ryan, dating expert and matchmaker, is joining me on tonight's Worst Date Ever stream. If you've got any questions or any sort of recent dates that you've been on, feel free to put them in the comments. Or if you've got any issues, like what the fuck are you doing? Like what's going wrong? Tell us. What always happens to you? So Gaz in YouTube, he met someone in Asda. And he said he only got a number the other week. She's a student.
Oh, right.
She's a student. Gaz, how old is she, mate? Come on. We were talking
How old is Gaz?
I don't know, but I think he's a bit old. I think he's not old, but I think he's at least 30 or 40. But I don't know, Gaz. They're all just names on a flipping screen. I've no idea.
Do you know what? I'd love to know if there's anyone tuning in who met someone during the first lockdown and decided to lock down with them, and it did or did not work out. I'd love to know if anyone's tuning in that did that. That's really interesting.
Yes, I don't know. I mean, to be honest, they're all mental. The people that watch this, they're all sort of like lonely, lonely people. We haven't met anyone, mate. We've not met anyone. Look, we're just on our own. So I can't remember what Robbie's comments just scrolled up. Oh yeah. So we had a couple of comments. One from Mark. Mark says, "I've never been on a date. How do you?"
Okay.
Which is cute. How do you date without getting drunk?
Just don't drink. No, that was a very short answer. I would say, psychologically speaking, we get really nervous because we're worried about what people think about us. Yeah. If we can shift the focus and start to think about, okay, I hope I will like this person. If not, no big deal. Focus on the date themselves and whether you like them. If you focus so much on, oh my gosh, how do I look? How am I showing up? Am I blubbering? Am I nervous? Can they tell I'm nervous? If you take it inward and you worry about whether they like you, actually you're not assessing whether you like them, and you could make the wrong choice. So actually, perhaps don't drink too much. Of course, a bit of Dutch courage will help a dating scenario if you do drink. So, 1 or 2 is fine, but don't go overboard because you'll shift the focus away from whether you like them.
I wish you were in my life like 8 years ago, because that's what I used to do.
Go
I
on.
used to get absolutely shit-faced. Do a bag
So many
of Coke.
people do.
Yeah, it was great. I just need to correct. I need to correct my off-the-cuff remark from a moment ago. Gaz Riley has got very defensive. Said she's 26, and I wouldn't say I'm mental or lonely. Lol. I am joking. I'm very appreciative of all the people that tune in on a weekly basis. Really, when I'm saying you're all mental and lonely, I'm talking about myself. I am very lonely. I've been shouting at the walls for the past 2 days.
Oh, I'm here now. And Gaz, I don't think you're mental. Well done for chatting someone up. Or maybe she or he, don't know, it was her, wasn't it?
Yeah,
she chatted you up in Asda. Who knows? Who hit on who? I'd love to know.
Just want to add on with Mark. So I've got a feeling Mark might not drink. He might be also another sober person like me. Mark,
Oh, right.
yeah. So Mark, I wouldn't worry about if that is the case, or anyone that is watching that's sober. You should check out a previous stream I did with the lovely Emily from Emily from Sober and Social. It's on my Instagram and my YouTube. But basically, all we talked about was don't worry about it. Nobody gives a shit if you're drinking or not. You know, you can go out on a date and not drink. I think the only people that really care if you're drinking or not are the people with an alcohol problem, and you probably don't want to be dating them anyway if you're sober.
And I think if you're nervous about going on a first date, just embrace it and enjoy the process, and just don't think this could be my forever person. Just think, you know, as you would, Eleanor, you know, I'm looking for a best mate who could evolve into something much more than that. And if you focus on that, then you should be okay.
Yeah. So Michael has commented on YouTube, said moving to Manchester won't help Eleanor. I think he's talking about the loneliness, the mentalness. I know that. Susie commented earlier on in the stream, and she DM'd me, I think, and she asked, one of her problems is she gets ghosted. Now I can relate to that. So ages ago, like, this is an example of horrible ghosting. So once I was dating this guy on Tinder for like a month. We were just having sex, and then I fucked it up basically. I wanted to get more clarity, and I just wrote quite an aggressive WhatsApp message, and then he just ghosted me. But like, we'd gone from like contacting every day, all right, babe, how are you? What's going on? You know, sort of that general chit chat that it kind of goes into, which is a little bit not fake, but it's a bit sort of manufactured. And it can be quite confusing for me as well. But then when he disappeared off the face of the earth, I felt absolutely rejected, because I'd had all that attention, and he disappeared, and it just made me crazy. And then I just started like texting crazy, like being like leaving voicemails, like crying, then anger, then sort of like overly sexual messages. I thought I'll just try one of them, and one of them will stick, and nothing did. And then he texted me 6 months later, and I deleted him again.
He texted you 6 months later. Okay, there's a few thoughts. I have plenty of thoughts about ghosting. It's the most disgusting thing that human beings do to one another. And it's definitely been on the rise for the past 10 years. And the thing about feeling rejection is, the first thing I want to address about that is that we obviously take it inward, because what else can we do? Like, it must have been something that I did. How did this not work out? Is it me? Is it something I said? Is it something I didn't do? And that's the first natural reaction for somebody that has been ghosted, is to see it as a rejection. But if you can find a way to see that somebody that did a bit of a Houdini, is something I would refer to it, and the exit stage left, you know, basically what they're saying to you non-verbally is, I do not have the emotional capacity to let you know that this isn't working out, because A, I don't know how to vocalize it. I have really poor comm skills. That's in layman's terms. Two is that actually I don't have the bandwidth to deal with your emotional input on this not working out. So three, what I'm going to do is just leave without a trace. And actually, if I need validating in the future, knowing that I've rejected you and you've had to go through the grief cycle on your own, and I've just been going, you know, about my life, a micro grief cycle or full-on grief cycle. I've heard people that have left marriages with children and completely ghosted them, people that have left relationships, and then you've got it all the way down to people that have left dating scenarios, and then somebody you've been chatting to for weeks/months or years if you're really time invested and not looking for a return and off the app. So it happens all over, and it's never about the amount of time you spent with the person. It's about how deeply you invested, you know, your energy, your care, your life with them. And then that's how we take it inward. But if you just see that they didn't have the bandwidth and that was not your door to open, then you can just let it go. And when they message you weeks, months, or years later, basically they're doing that thing where it makes me feel unwell. They open their little book and they think, actually, I am a bit lonely. I was dating someone, it hasn't worked out. And now I'd just like you to validate me. And I'm just going to go through the people that I have been unfair to or dated and it didn't work out, and see if they're available to validate me.
So that's really great. That's really great advice and really great insight. I think for me personally, when it happened to me, the investment was like, there was just lots of contact throughout the day, and I felt like, oh wow, I've not really dated anyone. Maybe this is what it looks like. And now I don't invest as much so early. So I will put boundaries in place. If we're not going to meet, then I won't text daily. I'll just be like, hey, look, I'm not really. I'll just be like honest. I don't really like texting loads. You know, when we're ready to meet, you know, let's meet, sort of thing. In better words than that.
Yeah.
And sometimes putting a boundary in really makes the other person a little angry, a little bit sort of demandy, angry, more needy.
Really?
And I can't. So that's something that's really sort of I've discovered about myself and what I can do in the last 3 years in recovery, having done some work around it. Whereas before, I would take any crumb. So now I've learned how to say, oh no, actually, if it's all right, can we just pick up the texting in a couple of weeks when we're gonna, you know, meet or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Or, you know, I'll just be a bit more clearer about it. So,
well, genetically, men love a challenge, don't they? That's how they're built. They're built for a challenge, and by, you know, if you're a female seeking a male, you know, and you're putting those boundaries in place, you're basically saying, show me what you're worth. And you know that it will create some sort of resistance. Absolutely.
What was I going to ask? There was what, you know, like how, right, I just want to let everyone know I'm going to fuck up here and say something that's probably like un-PC or whatever. You know how like there's been conversations about consent and the roles of men and women moving forward in relationships. And part of the old style of like hetero relationships is the man goes, oh, I'm going to chase, like man chases you and you're like, oh no, sorry. Oh no, so all right then, you know, and it's that dynamic, which I don't think really has any place in 2020. So no, it's more like you know, I'll let you know if I'm interested. I don't need to be chased. And I do think that women have a role in asserting that for themselves. But my question is, if you're saying that's a trait of heterosexual men, is that do you think? I think my next thing was going to be, can they control themselves?
Can they unlearn it?
Yeah, not PC at all. Can you
no,
control
do you know what? I think it's really interesting as a question, and it's something that I have talked about quite often. I think, you know, there's been a very, very well placed movements to bring awareness to, you know, how men have asserted themselves. But I also think there's a lot of grey areas in the sense that there are some exceptional men in the world. In fact, a lot of exceptional men, and a slither of awful human beings who happen to be men have given all those great men a bad reputation. And so I hear often as a dating coach that men are worried about what they should and shouldn't say, how they should and shouldn't approach things. And women are also, you know, quite rightly so, having had years of people groping them in clubs and bars when we used to meet people in the same socio-geographical economic circumstances, you know, down the pub or in a bar, when, you know, men who were heterosexual would go up and touch women, and that would be their way to show that they were attracted to them. And, you know, it's almost conditioned, and it's like an unconditioning and unlearning, and there's no right so there's no right or wrong to unlearning. It's just being, you know, conscious of the fact that women have the right to assert what they want and create boundaries, whereas we might not have had them, you know, in the past. We accepted a way of being, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know for my personal self, like the last the last few years I've definitely been trying to work on putting boundaries in, you know, and some of them are like hard boundaries and some of them are quite soft boundaries. And having had guests on from everywhere on this stream in the past sort of 4 or 5 months,
Cool.
there's a situation that someone talked about that I definitely recognise that I've been in, where you've been around someone's house to hang out and they've made a sexual move and you've just sort of let it happen, even though you couldn't speak up and sort of put in a boundary, or maybe like you were kissing. That's sort of like, it's not like hard, oh, I said no, then you did this. It's this sort of like moving of grey area, and I just wondered,
Interesting.
I think that establishing a boundary as a woman, because that's all I can control, me as a woman. Is there any tips that you could offer in terms of like, how do we establish, if we start to feel uncomfortable, like, you know, and the other person doesn't know that we're uncomfortable, I'm sure they'd be horrified to know that. But it's more like we've got to learn how to put the boundaries in ourselves. Is there any advice that you can offer for that? It's total misogyny going on in the YouTube comments.
you know what? I can empathise with the situation, because I'm just gathering that the conversations that you've had have been with females. Am I right? They're okay.
Yeah.
And often I think women have been worried about their safety when it's come to saying no and putting those hard boundaries in place. And so it's kind of a sense of going with the flow. Unfortunately, you know, it makes me feel, again, unwell to say that, but it's just the reality of so many things that have taken place in this world. So what I would do is, if not that it's a given if you go to somebody's house that you are going to be intimate with them, but I think that is almost the message that in this world it still gives off, even though we don't want it to. We might just want to go for dinner and have a glass of wine or a cup of tea or whatever it is. So I think it's having those discussions and being confident with your you know, what you want and who you are and how fast you want to take it. And if they don't communicate in the same way and meet you at the same place where they're like, okay, cool, don't want to do that either, or if they have any resistance, just know that they are not your person. They don't respect you enough. And I actually have been in a situation where I was dating somebody in my early 20s where I'd gone over for dinner, and actually, you know, they had suggested, and I said, it's not going to work for me, I'm going to leave. I mean, not everyone would just be confident enough to do that. They would just go with the unfortunate flow, and it's consensual but begrudgingly, unfortunately. I guess.
Yeah,
just set your boundaries and just be confident to say no.
Yeah, I think if it was me giving advice to my younger self, what would I tell myself? I think I'd probably say something like, "Oh, you can say you don't want to do it now.
It's your body, it's your choice, and you just say no as and when you absolutely please. That's it. That's what you would tell your younger self, and it's what you would, you know, tell anyone that is tuning in wondering about that. Just say no.
Just say no.
And no is a no. It's a hard no.
I mean, that's what he said. I think, I can't remember, Beth on Instagram, I think she said, oh, Beth, can you post your blooming comment again? I can't see it. It's scrolled up. I think Beth said something along the lines of, she chats and she said it's like a full-time job. So for somebody that is maybe juggling, I know that you deal with actual proper matchmaking, but all of these people are addicts. They don't give a shit. They're just on Tinder, cruising, filling in lockdown. So they're just like smashing it in like an addict.
Beth, walk away from the apps. Walk away. No, this is what I'm saying. Pseudo relationships. You're investing so much time and energy into people that you may not meet. And so if you are choosing to liaise and pen pal with people that you may or may not meet, then just be conscious that you are making a choice to do that. You're investing all that time. So be strategic. Just set yourself an alarm from 12 till 12:30 each day. I'm going to send some messages to certain people. And then from 7 till 7:30 in the evening while I'm making my dinner and, running a bath or whatever, a bath, wherever you are. um, so just be really strategic, because at the end of the day, the time you're investing in people that you're not sure about is time you're taking away from yourself. And who would want to do that?
So I've just remembered another fragment of the comment. She says that she does say on her profile that she's only looking for pen pals. So essentially, she probably needs to put some boundaries in, firstly, around that, because I think sometimes any relationship, whether it be like someone you just met or whatever, you sign a relationship contract, but you never really know what the other person's signed. So you need to gauge where that person is by their actions and how receptive they are to your cues, I would say. So, I mean, so in terms of in normal times when we're all dating properly, how does she get round the pen pals on the profile and then it just going into a lot prep? How does she manage that?
So she says she is only looking for pen pals, or she's not looking for pen pals. I was like, she said only. I was like, that's a lot.
Sometimes
it's a lot of pen pals.
There's people in jail. They'll be your pen pal.
Exactly. You can marry them as well. Mm-hmm.
So what? Yeah, you can marry an axe murderer. Win.
You won.
So what? So like, how long do you give someone? Like, if you're chatting to Dave, like, how long before it goes into pen pal territory? Oh, I can't see your messages, Beth. How long before it goes into pen pal territory, and how do you manage and steer it and find out if the person wants to meet or not without going, do you want to meet?
Do you know what? If it has been longer than a few weeks, you've got to make a move yourself. I mean, the thing is about modern dating.
I have 2 messages and I'm like, do you want to meet?
I tried online dating once many a year ago, and I was like, so are you going to ask me on a date or but it worked, and we it worked for a few years, so that was nice. So yeah, I guess you just gauge what your cutoff is. How much time have you got to waste/invest, depending on how you look at it. So now we've got 3 weeks left of lockdown. It's fair. If you start chatting to someone today, you want to be looking to meet them for a socially distanced coffee or whatever as soon as lockdown lifts. So if you've been chatting to someone for longer than a couple of weeks and we're not in a lockdown, you need to start asking yourself, are you willing to let this go on? And if you're not, you need to say, really enjoyed getting to know you online. I'd love to take this offline. What are your thoughts on that? You just have to be bold enough to make the first move. Unfortunately, if you're not, if you're waiting for someone to make the first move, is what I'm saying, it's not always going to happen. Everyone's looking for assertiveness. I hear it 70 to 80% of the time. But then what you get is one party waiting for the others to make the move, and gender doesn't come into it.
So Beth is like, I'm taking notes. She's taking notes. So let's plan out Beth's pen pal diary. So we've got from now until December the 2nd. So Beth, am I right in thinking that, Beth, you've got a few weeks to set up the ones you want to meet for a coffee as soon as lockdown lifts?
Hope so. Wait, why is there no video dating? I know that I know you begrudge it, but
no, I like it. I can't help myself. Sometimes I do show my boobs. I'm not very boundaried on it.
I'd be like, let's make a stir fry together. Let's make a cocktail together. What are you doing this Friday? Let's join each other for quarantinis. Like, what's happening on Friday?
Beth, have you done that? Beth, you need to do that. Beth, can you let us know in the comments how many potential people you're chatting to at the moment, please, so we can schedule this out? That is brilliant. Yeah.
How many quarantini dates can you line up?
Because you can do that thing where you can order the same Deliveroo, or you can watch the same Netflix film at the same time. I don't know how you do it. It's a bit too technical.
Oh, gosh, you know what? But then you're double screening, and then you're not fully invested in the chat, and you're not fully invested in the film, and I'd like either.
Got it. So what do you reckon, like food or... Okay, so Beth is currently chatting to 6. Beth, in the notes, can you just highlight, just give a word or just briefly describe the favourites in there, and just give us much information. We'll have a look. So she should maybe... So Beth, what you should do is you should set up a quarantine date this weekend, right?
Yeah, happy hour, do it.
Do you think she should do it back to back?
What, breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
No, just have an hour for each bloke.
I was like, depends on how much time she's got on her hands this weekend.
Depends how drunk she wants to get.
Do you know what? Narrow it down to who you feel like you're chatting to, but keep it loose, because remember what I was saying earlier in the chat is that, you might have what seems like crazy chemistry with someone you've never even had a telephone conversation with, but when you get to being in real time, it's not always the way. So just kind of get a feel for who could be most compatible, and then line it up in a sense, saying, okay, I'd love to have an hour, or no, don't say an hour, actually, don't be specific about the time. It's not a Zoom call, it's not a meeting. Just say, I'd love to do a quarantine. I would do a couple back to back, and then kind of sieve out those who aren't compatible with you, and then re-gauge and shift your energy.
Should she do, because I always like to hear the person's voice. Should she get them to send her a voice note and then just choose the one with the least offensive accents?
Do you know what? I'm a massive voice noter, mainly because I can't be bothered to text. And so I just respond to people with a voice note. Some people find it quite invasive, actually, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think that's because we're chatty women. I think men don't like it.
Yeah.
So do you think she should force them to do voice notes first, or just suggest a quarantine?
I think she should at least shift it over to WhatsApp, so she can, check them out.
Yeah.
Don't go hyper stalking people, because then you're investing all the chat time, all the stalking time, and you're just like oversaturated with, people that you haven't met yet. So I'd go on to WhatsApp, do a back and forth voice note, and then, be the one to take the plunge and suggest quarantine time. Just do it. I mean, the worst that can happen is that they say no, and then off they go.
Yeah, you got your time back. Beth,
you got your time back.
Yeah, so, hang on. Beth says, oh, yes, I've spoken to North Wales. He sounds lush. Mate, you know it. Just get, you could, have a look. I bet you can get one of those, some bullshit. There's probably some bullshit online date thing where you can both have the same package delivered to your house and then you make a cocktail. I bet there's something that exists out there like that. What is the most stalking thing you've ever heard someone do? I'll let you know. So my old stalking technique before I was like a spiritual guru that I am now was I used to screen grab the Tinder profile pictures and put it into Google image search, and then do that. Or when you used to be able to put the telephone number into Facebook, I used to do that. Then I used to go to LinkedIn. I'd look at their jobs, take the job title, go into total jobs, see how much they earn. So that is a little bit stalky.
That is interesting. I've heard a lot of stalking things that go on. I do have a friend who was single for a very long time, no longer, and they would check people out, check them on Companies House,
I've done that.
Check, if they say they have a business, they check where they live, check
Zoopla.
Go through their social media profiles to check who their exes are, to see what kind of relationship they might still have. Look, there is nothing I haven't seen, and there is nothing I haven't heard when it comes to the dating dance that people do before. That's why I'm so obsessed with eradicating it.
What do you think it's about characters of people that makes them want to find? Because for me, I find it's like a challenge. That the most information I can find out about someone with the little information I have, I find it like a game.
We all watch too much like True Detective or something. I don't know. Inspector Cluedo. You know what? People they really want to know who they're investing their time with online. They also want to know who are they sharing their digital footprint with. It's also, you can't qualify people that you've met online. I mean, and they can just go and create a Facebook profile and then link it up to the app, and that will be that. So, it's really tricky if they're not sharing their Instagram profile too with the app. So people do want to do their best to kind of qualify who they're meeting in real life. Also, I think we're so used to having information at our fingertips that we make decisions in split seconds, especially in big cities such as London. We're used to, moving quickly, doing things quickly, moving on quickly, next please mentality. And I think people do want to prejudge. They do want to pre-guesstimate who that person is, how it might go. And I think it comes down to control, fear of rejection, fear of missing out, all of that stuff, rather than just going with, how is this person making me feel? Okay, I'm going to be open to what the world throws at me, and let's just see how the date goes. So I hear so little of that, the openness. I think people have become really negative about the process of finding a partner. It's a big statement, but it's true.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, do you know what? I feel like, just going on what we were saying earlier, I feel like Tinder, the apps, all that stuff, it's not in the business of finding us love. It's in the business of keeping us searching for love. And those are two very different things. And
Yes.
like our mums and dads, they all banged, quite frankly. Like cavemen banged, Victorian Tudor people banged. Everybody found someone, and they weren't, I mean, they might have been always like open to it, but they weren't like just feverishly looking every minute, every day, every hour. Like it's this, and I don't think that's normal. I did a period of celibacy about 3 years ago, and just really just nothing, just took everything off, and it was absolutely freeing. I stopped walking into rooms looking for people to have, to get that hit of dopamine from, and it was freeing. And then I met someone really great. It didn't work out, but after a year. So it's like it happens when it happens, partly, I think.
It's like you cleansed yourself of all of the kind of it can be a negative experience if you allow it to be. I think people do become all consumed by it. They're thinking about the peer pressure around them. Have you met someone yet? Have you been online dating? Who you're chatting to? Christmas dinner round at the parents. Are you settled down yet? And I think there's still peer pressure even in this modern world from people around us. It's like a weight of expectation. I think we transfer the expectation from ourselves as well onto, oh my gosh, measuring ourselves against other people in the world and their relationships. I am a relationship coach as well as a dating coach, and there are so many people in relationships that aren't perfect, and I think we're ever searching for perfection. I think our parents and our grandparents used to meet, like I said earlier, in the same or similar socio-geographical, economical circumstances. They also had a particular communication style that if it's broke, then let's work on fixing it. Let's figure out, our grandparents have resilience, and they are so willing, and have always, all those generations and our ancestors, they've always been so willing to work at relationships, because it's like, okay, this isn't working, what are we going to do about it? Whereas now, the rise of dating apps, that I think the New York Times called it the dating apocalypse or something back in 2016, is that if it's broke, then let's replace it. Hence ghosting, hence breadcrumbing, hence having someone on the back burner, and modern dating and moving forward, but having someone waiting in the wings. Just be conscious of all these things that are happening. The Urban Dictionary has got a lot to say by creating all of these modern dating terms that we have to get used to. Or don't, we can just throw them in the bin and just ignore them. Just be conscious that if you're looking to find your person, and you believe that you want to find one person and you're monogamous, and you want that, then just ignore all the BS that's around you. Go with your gut. Think about how the people you're dating make you feel, as well as what you think about them, rather than how you feel about yourself and whether you're showing up. Right? And then work on that, and ignore the peers, ignore the ghosting, the fear of rejection. We all get rejected, and I think we always think that we're in, from jobs, from in relationships, in family, like rejection is part of life, but we don't have the resilience that our grandparents had to fix things. So what we do is we seek to replace it, and that's giving us that feel-good factor.
Quick. Oh my God. Yeah. Listen, I could talk to you all evening.
I could chat to you all evening.
I know. Look at us in our sexy new flats. I'd love to have you on the stream again sometime in the future. Thank you. Good. I ask you, so you can't say no. Where can people find you, Miss Sarah Louise Ryan?
If you want a bit of dating advice, you can go to lovelessonsglobal.com. And if you fancy a spot of matchmaking and you want to get off the apps, you can go to loveconnections.com.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Sarah Louise Ryan there. Thank you, mate. I'll chat to you in a minute. But before we go, we're going to run out of time because Instagram's going to cut us off. I just want to say, can you switch your microphone off, mate? Yes, thank you. So I just want to say thank you to all the people that have tuned in again, the crew on YouTube, the crew on Instagram. We're going to get her on again, the lovely Sarah. Right. If you want to hear how it's going, I'm doing a daily podcast at the moment called Eleanor Conway's Moving On. It's about changing the time of fear. You can listen to it on Spotify and Anchor. And then if you're a Patreon, that's somebody that gives me a little bit of cash each month to get exclusive behind the scenes content and video versions of that podcast. Then then if you want to be involved in that and help support me for the price of a coffee a month, I would love you forever. Feel free to go over to patreon.com/Eleanor Conway, or if you just want to drop me a little donation so I can pay for some more Wi-Fi in this flat, feel free to go to paypal.me/Eleanor Conway. Yes, brilliant. I mean, look, that was one of our favourite ones in so much time. Big thank you to Sarah Louise Ryan. If you're watching on YouTube, Instagram, make sure you hit subscribe and tune in next week at Thursday at 8 p.m. UK time. That's it. I'm out. Thank you very much. I'm Eleanor Conway, and this has been your worst day ever.